We're on episode 6, Squeeze the Neck podcast. Today I got with me Tremayne Gilling. Top man, thanks for doing this, Tremayne.
No problem at all.
All right, mate. So we're in the lovely Crystal Palace outside. So as long as the weather holds up for us, we'll have a nice little chat, mate. We'll figure things out. But you're a bobsledder anyway, so cold's good for you, no? We'll get into it. We'll figure it out. All right, mate. So yeah, I was really interested. I was recommended Tremayne, and I looked into him through mutual friend David Lawrence, who I did a podcast with, episode 4. And we've got back in the same environment, actually, a little bit different. We're not sitting on the floor this time because David, the movement guy, wants to sit on the floor, but Tremayne, the athlete, wants to be in the stadium. So we'll figure it out as we go. But first of all, mate, I want to dive into how does an Englishman get into bobsled?
So, boy, I started as a sprinter.
Okay.
Started as a sprinter. I've been sprinting from a young age because my mum used to be an athlete as well. As I got to quite a good level in sprinting, and from there, I kept on getting injured, so I was looking for something different to do. My coach, Lloyd Cowan, recommended that I look into bobsleigh because one of my training partners at the time had got into bobsleigh. I was looking at going back to rugby, but he was like, "No, if you do bobsleigh, you can do bobsleigh in the winter and then come back and do track in the summer. So then the track will help your bobsleigh and vice versa."
Brilliant.
So yeah, we did a talent ID day, did very well, and got into the team.
Nice, man, because we're a similar age. We worked out before this, right? Yes. So we all grew up on cool running. So bobsleigh always perks the interest, and the ears perk up when I hear bobsleigh. But there's a lot of things you said you got into, like track and field, the sprinting, the rugby. Take us all the way back, mate. I think you said to me you was born in America. So take us from the beginning and your entry into sport and up into adulthood.
Jeez, okay. So yeah, so as you said, I was born in America, but I was 9 months old when I came to the UK. My mum, because she was an athlete, I've been on the track from a young age. So when she was training or coaching, I'd be on the track just running around as a little toddler. I can't remember how old I was. I was very young when I got taught how to hurdle. Because one of her name's Judy Vernon. She was a Commonwealth champion back in 1974. She taught me to hurdle. So I was doing hurdles when I was younger. Mm-hmm. But as you get into school, it's not about the fastest hurdler. It's about being the fastest in school. So I kind of come away from hurdling and went into sprinting because I wanted to be the fastest in the year, fastest in the school. From there, I got to when I was in high school, because they knew I was fast, they put me into the rugby team. Never knew how to play rugby. All I knew is you give me the ball and I'll just run. So there was a few times where I may have made a few errors because I didn't know the rules of the game. I just knew to run. But played rugby, played football. I played for AFC Wimbledon when they first started.
So good standard we're talking now. We're getting up the levels. What sort of level were AFC Wimbledon at this point?
This is when they first put a team together. So it was a decent standard, not the standard they are now. I was 14, 15.
So playing age categories, obviously, right? We're not playing the first team.
No. So playing for them for a few years, and then when that stopped, I kind of just focused on rugby and athletics. Uh-huh. I completely forgot to talk about kickboxing. I used to do kickboxing. But
this is one of the things David mentioned, actually, which was because we're kind of a martial arts podcast. That's my background, whatever. So that was one of the things I'm interested in chatting to people that have got successful sporting backgrounds and they've got like whether they're actual fighters themselves or whether they've got like an interest or they've been there. Which is, sorry to cut you off, but that's where we come from. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the kickboxing, mate, as we move forward.
It was semi-contact. It wasn't a...
We're talking like points fighting, are we? So points, stop, start again.
Exactly. So did kickboxing from about 11 years old, and I loved it. To be honest, if it became an Olympic sport, because I know at one point it was supposed to be, I can't remember what it's called, but it was supposed to be mixed with karate and something and taekwondo to have one freestyle fighting, but that never went through. So my whole thing as I was growing up is I wanted to do kickboxing because I was very good at kickboxing. Mm-hmm. But when it never became an Olympic sport. That's when I was like, okay, well, I actually want to make the Olympics. So I need to look at a sport that actually makes sense.
So your goal was really sort of Olympic driven rather than didn't care what you was doing so much as long as you could get there.
Yeah, I think because my mum was an Olympian.
Okay. Whoa. We got to go back.
Yeah.
You said like, oh, my mum made it sound like your mum was like a, mum does a bit of jogging on the weekends, but your mum's been at the Olympics, is she?
So she's a double Olympian.
Brilliant. Let's hear a bit about that.
She's won. So I was talking about Judy Vernon. Judy won Commonwealth Games in 1974. My mum won the next Commonwealth Games in 1978.
And is this sprinting? Is it 100 meters?
Hurdles.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Is it 110 meters then?
100. So 110 is the men. 100 hurdles is for women.
Okay.
So 100 hurdles. So she won the 100 hurdles in 1978. Came second in 1982. She's been to 1980 and was it 76 or was it? I should know this. 84 Olympics.
So that would have been Moscow 80, LA 84.
Then that's not right.
No. Where did she go to the Olympics? You know where she went? Montreal was 76.
It was Montreal.
I only know that because Sugar Ray Leonard won the gold for boxing.
I want to say she went Montreal.
Nice. So serious level. Yeah, is she competing for America or Great Britain?
Great Britain.
Great Britain.
Yeah, she competed for Great Britain. So yeah, she Commonwealth Games champion, double Olympian. I think she made semi-finals.
And she won the Commonwealth, you said.
And won the Commonwealth Games.
So serious level we're talking.
Yeah, it was a good level.
And how is it back then? Are we sort of full time or is it very sort of amateur?
For when she was doing it?
When she was doing it.
So she was, to be honest, she used to train here as well. But she used to live at the top of the hill. You know, do you remember where Barclays Bank used to be?
Vaguely, from a kid, I vaguely remember.
So she worked for Barclays Bank and lived above there because they sponsored her.
Yeah.
And then she would come and train here, or she would train in Hendon up in North
Brilliant.
London.
Okay, nice.
So it wasn't. She used to train early morning, go to work, and then train in the evening. And have to go bed early so that she could do it over again. So it wasn't as funded as it is now.
Yeah,
I think,
but she still made it work for her, right? Because those are the times. Because you hear a lot of people, and I know a lot of people that, well, a handful of people that are professional fighters, and they actually go downhill a little bit when they go full time. Because, I mean, it's different if you're earning millions, right? Because then you can have all the right stuff. But some of them, when they go from sort of being a builder in the daytime, training morning, training evening, and they're focused and they're whatever, when they get a bit of funding and they're earning sort of a similar money to what they're getting a normal job, they sort of switch off. Yeah, I don't know whether it's a psychological thing or what. But yeah, sorry. Anyways, mate, back to your mum's like winning gold medals all over the world.
Yeah, no. So I think because of that and because of what she's done, she's done that as an athlete. Then she's gone on to being a team manager for the Olympic team in 2000.
Sydney.
Being team manager. She's been coach for different Europeans and Commonwealth Games and stuff like that. So being around that environment, I'm gonna work
born for this, basically. Yeah. And how about your dad? Your dad an athlete?
He may have run track when he was at college, but not to the same level as my mum has. So because of the level that my mum's been, that's what I want to do. Yeah. But my mum never pushed me into athletics.
Yeah.
It was do what you love doing.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. One thing that she wouldn't allow me to do is just quit because for the sake of quitting.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, you're going to put 110% into it, and she'll support me in whatever I do. So I'm the type of person that once I go into it, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to give everything I can.
Yeah.
And it was kickboxing.
Yeah.
Then it was athletics, and then it moved into bobsleigh.
Nice.
As I said, I've done other bits like rugby and football and stuff like that. But the main things for me was kickboxing, to athletics, to bobsleigh.
So coming off the back of kickboxing, when you realised it wasn't going to be an Olympic thing, how old are we at this point?
17-ish, because it was just before Beijing. Because from what my instructor said, it was supposed to be potentially, it could have been a demonstration sport in 2008.
Okay.
So it was just before, when I found out around then, I was like, okay, cool. So I was 17, 18. I think I was just about to turn 18 because obviously my birthday would have been around the time of Olympics. And I was like, okay, cool. This isn't a thing now. it's got to be something else. Let's look at athletics. I started training harder with athletics. My PB at one point in 2008 was 1078.
So serious speed, right? Is that as
Yeah,
fast as I think it is?
It was okay. It was okay.
Really? Okay.
It was decent.
And are you a senior at this point, or are you
I
competing
was
at age
still
group?
a junior, so I was under 20s.
Okay.
Moved to Lloyd in 2009. And with Lloyd, I still trained with my mum, so my mum was a coach as well. Trained with Lloyd in 2009, and he took me from 1078 to 1025 in the one season.
Wow.
Which was a big thing, and which was new territory for me as well, because I've always been there and about, but I've never been that high.
And is that your PB? Is it
10:25?
But that's fast, right? That's serious. Like how far? That's like what, half a second off of Usain Bolt on it. Like that sounds pretty fast to me.
I mean,
but that's a lot. It's a lot in sprinting. It's a lifetime. The only reason I say it's a lifetime is because I've always been fast, right? Over a short distance, I always say I'm fast, I'm fucking fast. But I was in a gym once, and there was a geezer, and he'd run for like county level, so he wasn't even an elite guy. And I was like, "Fuck, I'll beat you." We went outside and raced on the road, and I got to, say we set up sort of 60 meters. I got to about 40 meters, and I went, I'm not as fast as I thought I was. You know what I mean? I can see his ass in front of me. I'm like, oh, right, okay, maybe I'm not that fast. So there's obviously levels to this, right? But what sort of a weight are you for a sprinter and height? So take us through your stats when you're at sort of your peak sprinting.
So at my PB weight would be 82 kilos, I guess. 82 and a half to 83 kilos. 6 foot. And I'm a type of person that I lift a lot of weight. But when it comes into the season, if I'm still lifting really heavy, then I'm not moving fast.
Right.
So when it comes to the season time, still lift, just try to move lighter weights fast.
Yeah. And what sort of lifting are we talking? We're talking sort of powerlifting stuff or Olympic lifting, or what's going on?
Olympic lifting. So Keith Morgan's my coach, still my coach. So I'll go through cleans or hang cleans, deadlifts, squats, either front or back squats, and then a bit of bench as well. And
can we get into some PBs or?
My PB from the floor clean is 153.
All right, so this is serious. This is pretty serious, right?
Yeah. My hang clean PB is 154 kilos.
All right.
My deadlift's not as good. It's 232 in comparison to what everything else is.
But you're playing this down, right? For Joe Average who goes to the gym, these are serious numbers. These are proper numbers.
Back squat is 203. Front squat is 180. I think it's 188.
Nice.
Approximately.
And is this all sitting around 82, or are you cutting for competition and you're naturally heavier?
No, so when I was 82 kilos, I was lifting about 135, 140 kilo clean. But then I was lifting, my front squat was like 160 to 160, I think it was, and my back squat was 180.
Yep.
So I was lifting lighter
of course, because you're a bit light. But what's sort of your natural weight when you're competing? Do you cut for weight like a fighter would for sort of a fight? Do you cut down for a specific weight?
Not the same way, because I know. So I work with a boxer, and I know that his weight will drop dramatically over a short period of time.
Who's the boxer?
Chef Clark.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know him personally. I know who he is. He's trying to get him on a podcast, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I sent him a message, so we'll see if he gets on. But yeah, he was GB team, all that kind of stuff, and now he's pro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, mate, I'm cutting you off.
He's got a fight this weekend.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, that's probably why he hasn't responded.
Is it Chev or Chev? How do we say it? Chev. So good luck, big Chev, mate, in your fight when you're getting on.
So he's fighting on Saturday. But so I know that with fighters they drop dramatically.
Yeah.
It's not the same, because we have to be from when you start the season, you want to keep improving. So your weight might drop as you go through the season, but you're not trying to just go from, let's say you start your season in April, you're not trying to drop it dramatically from April to May. It's just bring it down, and so that when you're ready to peak, you're ready to peak. It's
about speed at the end of the day, right? So your weight is what your weight is.
You want to be training hard.
What is a typical weight for a sprint? Is 82 sort of around the mark?
I always used to be cussed for being 82 kilos.
What, as in too heavy or too light?
Heavy.
Oh, really? Okay. Because sprinters look jacked to me from the outside, right?
I think it depends. You've got a couple sprinters that are big, but I think nowadays a lot of them are a lot more slim.
Yeah. Is that right?
Okay. But I would say my coach Lloyd wanted me to be about 79 kilos.
Really? Okay.
That was to this day. It's still hard for me, even if I'm losing weight. It's difficult to this day.
Yeah.
So for me, 82 kilos is probably about right.
Yeah. And what about height? Because little work I've done with sprinters that are at that level, they all seem to be sort of around my sort of height, which is 5'10"-ish. Usain Bolt's an outlier, right? Because he's 6'5" or whatever he is.
Yeah.
But what's sort of a good height? Or does it really matter?
If you're fast, you're fast.
That's it. Yeah.
I think Usain proved that, isn't he? Because you have people that are 5'10", you have people that are 6'5", and the average might be around 5'11" to 6'1".
Yeah. Is there pros and cons in terms of if you're shorter? I would imagine, and this is completely guessing. I would imagine if you're shorter, your start's better, but if you're taller, once you get into your stride, you've got faster length. Is that just wrong?
That's what they say. If you're taller, your starts won't be as good. But if you watch Usain's his world record, I mean, he didn't get left completely at the blocks. No. He was moving.
Yeah.
So I think it just depends on your. Yes, if you have the right attributes, you might be a good starter like Chris Coleman or Asaf Power was a good starter.
Yeah.
He was 6'3", 6'4".
Was he that big? Okay, I thought he was short as well.
Compared to Usain, he looks
short. Yeah, but he's not. Yeah, 6'3", still big guy.
But he was one of the best starters in the world.
Because he's still, correct me if I'm wrong, he's still the second fastest runner of all time, is he? Or third or somewhere, he's close.
Maybe third or fourth. He's got the most under 10 seconds runs.
Is that right?
But you watch his starts, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. And he's 6'3".
Yeah.
So yes, genetics has a part in height and stuff like that, but it's been proven.
Yeah, because you're born fast anyway, right? The coach shapes a bit off, but you're fast. If you're not fast, you're not going to get a good coach and make you fast suddenly.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you can coach to be faster with drills, with technical stuff, with gym work, but there will always be a
you're faster, you're not, right?
Yeah.
And if you're slow, you're slow. Because as I say, going back to when I ran with the guy who was, I think he was county level, he might have been sort of a national level, but he was never like an Olympic prospect. And the way he fucking run off the block, just like, I was like, shit, man, I got to reassess what fast means here, because I always say I'm fast, but apparently I'm not. But anyway, mate, take us from sprinting. So when did you realise like Olympics might not happen, and then take us to the bit that's excited me the most, which is the bobsleigh career, because I want to hear all about it.
So that year that I ran 10:25.
And sorry, what age are you at this point, mate?
When I ran 10.2?
Yeah.
19.
So still young, right? What's the sprinter's career? Is it a peak coming, or is that still as young as it sounds?
That's still quite young.
Yeah.
A lot of people hit their peak towards the end of their 20s.
So typically, like typical sports, really, sort of late 20s, early 30s is your prime.
Yeah. That's what I would say. I mean, I know Bolt was younger, but again, Bolt was a different, right? Different animal. But so when I ran 10.2, I won it at the Commonwealth Trials. What was supposed to be the Commonwealth Trials. Didn't get selected for Commonwealth Games. That's a different story. But after that season, it was my dream for Olympics looked more real, because now I'm excuse me, at the time I think the qualifying time for Olympics would have been between 10:15, 10:18 sort of time. So I'm now, okay, cool, I'm close to those qualifying standards. 2000, that was 2010. 2011, I just had an injury season where I had about 6 or 7 injuries in one season. Loads of hamstrings, quads, calf, everything in one season. So that kind of things had to kind of change. For 2012, I opened up with my fastest time. I think it was 10:34, I believe. I opened up in 2012. So in my head, I'm like, okay, cool. I've never opened up this fast before in my life. I'm in a good place. and then injuries again. I think I had tendinopathy in my hamstring, so I couldn't put power down when I was running. And then season didn't go as well as good. Yeah, didn't go as planned. And then again, just injuries again for the next couple of years. Next season, I opened up with a 10.7 into a -5, which is equivalent to around 10.3. And again, injuries again the next race. So it just got frustrating to the point where I was just like, you know what, I need to do something else, because I'm not getting where I want to get to with athletics. I know I'm capable of good times, but my body is just not allowing me to do it. So I need to look for a sport that allows me to use the speed, use my power, which was in my head rugby to begin with. Obviously, I was too old to go back to football at that point, but I knew that my speed could do some damage in rugby. Didn't even consider cool runnings. Didn't even consider bobsleigh. Didn't even consider bobsleigh at the time. I was already looking for clubs that I could go to for rugby. And then I told my coach, and he was like, "Why don't you give bobsleigh a go? Simeon's doing bobsleigh now. He's doing really well.
Simeon, a teammate, is he?
Yeah, so he trained with Lloyd, and yeah, so because Simeon was doing it, Simeon was a few years older than me, so he was one of the athletes when I was younger. I'd look up to him. Because he did bobsleigh, Lloyd suggested I do it, and I did the testing. The testing would involve things like sprint test, pushing the sled on the track, bunny hops, so five jumps into a sandpit.
Okay. This is for distance, I'm assuming.
For distance, yeah.
To see how far you go. You're not just doing it for people having
a
giggle. Go ahead there, bunny hop again for me.
And then they'll take your clean PB, squat PB, and stuff like that.
Okay.
So they kind of have an idea of how much weight you can shift as well.
And where are you doing this? Is that at Crystal Palace, or do you have to go somewhere specific?
This was at Lee Valley.
Okay, so still local-ish, local enough.
Yeah.
Local. You haven't got to get on a plane and go to fucking Norway or something. Yeah. So you're all set with that. And how big is a bobsled? Like, I think we've all got an idea of what it looks like, but I saw one once off track.
Yeah.
And they're big, right? They're pretty hefty looking.
They're big. 2-man weighs. I shouldn't get this wrong. Hang on. A 2-man weighs about 170 kilos.
Yeah.
A 4-man is about, I want to say 210 kilos.
That's a big piece of kit that you got. And what do you specialise in one or the other, or was 2-man, 4-man same?
So my first season, I did a lot of 2-man, because first season into the sport, you go into the we were with the ADP, which is the Advanced Drivers Program. So all the new drivers still had a very good caliber of athletes, but we were new to the sport, so we were those drivers. So we did a lot of 2-man because as their first, I think it was their second year of driving, you're not going to go straight into 4-man because it requires, I believe, a lot more skill.
Right.
It's easier to learn in a 2-man. I'm talking like I know, but I've never driven before.
You're the expert on site today, man. You know more than me.
But yeah, so I did a lot of 2-man to begin with, and then we did a couple of 4-mans, and then from that, because of my weight, I was too light to be a 2-man specialist.
Really? How big were you supposed to be?
So, I mean, when I went into bobsleigh, I ended up being around 80. I think I started at 85 kilos.
And is this just living? That's just what you're at.
Yeah.
You're not trying to be. You just
but I mean, at the time, I was trying to get bigger, but it was quite difficult.
Yeah, I got you.
But even at my heaviest, I think I was 90 kilos at my heaviest before my last 2 seasons. My heaviest was 90 kilos, and I was still one of, if not the lightest on the crew.
Because they're weighing what?
Everyone's around 100 kilos.
Are
plus.
they? That's
Yeah.
interesting, because I wouldn't think that from the outside. I think about slim people for bobsled, but I guess you need the weight to go down fast, right?
Yeah, because if you're not heavy, if the people aren't heavy, then you got to put the weight in the sled, which means it's going to be a heavier sled to push.
So it's slower start.
It's going to be a slower start. So yeah, no, it's.
So if you can find yourself like a fast fat guy, you're laughing here, because he can push the sled fast and then he can jump in it and weigh it down.
Yeah, but we also have a weight limit. So you have a minimum weight for the sled, and a maximum weight for everyone.
Okay.
Including the sled.
Okay, and they weigh you in, I'm assuming, obviously, right?
Yeah.
They got to check it.
They weigh you after you've gone down.
Oh, right. So you could win the gold medal and then get off the scales and they're like, nah, too fat.
Yeah. So if you are, let me think. 630 kilos is the maximum, and obviously if you've got the timing system inside, then that gives you an extra kilo, I believe it is. So
it's a lot. It's very complex in terms of how it works. So
very.
In theory, you could have a faster time, but the person that comes 2 seconds behind you because of weight restrictions and whatnot could actually win the gold. Am I hearing that right?
If you get disqualified.
Oh, okay, right. So it's not clear cut.
Okay. No. So it's still done on times, and you don't get like time. What's the word? Like time. What's it? Like in
like penalty time,
penalty
sort
times.
of like,
You don't get penalty times or anything like that. But if you come down first and you go and weigh, and you might be, if the limit's 631, you might be 631.5. You best take as much snow out of that sled. To make sure that you're making weight.
And how are they weighing you? In all your gear, or are they stripping you off?
In all your gear.
Yeah, so you got to be in the limit with the gear. They do that in jiu-jitsu with the gi, which I always find quite strange, because just weigh in, right?
It's to make it fair. So and they do it afterwards, because you may weigh before and someone might do something to the sleds.
Right. Someone goes and takes a quick toilet break and comes back and they've lost a kilo.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you.
So we got to make sure that you're making weight. So you can't be too heavy. I think the heaviest person on the sleds, when he was 120 kilos, they made sure that he had to cut weight.
Is that right? That's a big boy, isn't it? Naturally, 120 kilos is a big man.
Yeah, it's very big.
If you're in shape, which you've got to be, right? If you're an athlete, that's a big boy. Okay, so take us through your career a bit, mate. How did you start in bobsleigh in terms of competition, and where did it get to? And what are you doing now if you're still involved?
So, first season was quite good. Came 5th at World Juniors. So juniors in bobsleigh is under 25s.
All right, okay. So grown-ass men in the junior category.
Yeah.
Married with 3 kids at this point, and they're still in the juniors. Yeah, all right.
So he came 5th in junior World Juniors, which was a good my best achievement to date, which was wild, because I'd been in athletics almost all my life and never reached that far. So did quite well in my first season. Went World Championships, but also I remember getting injured a few weeks before. Injury was like landing on the back of the sled, so bruised my back. I say my back on the podcast.
Make of that what you will.
So that it was the leading up to it was a little bit iffy as to whether I was going to be on even making it to it, because it was just sore to push, sore to run.
And sorry, are you straight away? You're on Team GB, is this?
Yes.
Without hesitation. So your first competition, you represent in GB, and you're away to go.
Yeah.
So we're at a serious level already.
Yes.
And what are the other nations? Who sort of dominates bobsleigh? Is it the obvious ones?
Germany.
Oh, Germany. Okay, I was going to say Sweden, Norway.
No, Germany are the guys.
Really?
Guys. Yeah.
Interesting.
Germany. Let me think.
Jamaica.
Germany,
no, not Jamaica. It's a myth.
No, Jamaicans.
Just ruined my childhood, bro. You've taken away Cool Runnings. VHS of Cool Runnings is gone.
Jamaicans are. I wouldn't consider them, like, you wouldn't see them on the medalists at the Olympics or anything like that. They're at a different level to the Germans, I can't even think, Austrians, Americans, Canadians. You've got a lot of they're the top guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm missing a country, but yeah,
It can't be that good if we're forgetting them.
yeah. I'm not going to say that. But yeah, you've got a lot of those big teams that
They
always-
dominate. They're
they
always
dominate.
the teams. It's their sport.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of limited, right? I say Jamaican because obviously the film we all grew up with, right? But
Yeah.
it's quite hard to be a good bobsledder in Jamaica itself, right? You've got to travel somewhere,
Yeah.
I would imagine.
To be honest, I think Jamaica have a lot of potential because I mean, as a sprinting nation, there's a lot of potential to be good bobsledders. That's my belief. But it's about finding people that are actually crazy enough to go down that.
Well, that's what I want to get into next. Take us through sort of like how the thing is. But before we get to that, let's carry on with your career, mate. Did you ever make it to an Olympics?
I didn't. I went to. Don't quote me on this. I've been to 3 World Championships.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. I've competed at 3 World Championships, a few European Championships. Never made Olympics, which is why when you asked me earlier if I've retired, I'm like,
because we're still only 33, so the day is young, and we still might have another pop in us. Is that what we're saying?
Maybe.
What's the next one? 26.
26.
And where is it?
In Italy.
Italy. Okay.
I feel like I've got unfinished business. I said that about athletics. I said that about other sports, but I would like to go back. I've played around with that idea for a while now, but my first priority is my business. So, as you said, I'm 33 now. So if I'm going to bobsleigh and I'm not being paid, I need to make sure that I've got money in my pocket. So my business is my first priority.
And what is the situation with pay for sports like bobsleigh? Is there funding or?
They're in a lot better place now than they was. Excuse me. When I was competing for the last 3 seasons. When I first started, we had full funding, which was awesome.
And is that a wage as well, or are they just covering expenses?
Yes, no. So you get lottery funding.
Okay, nice.
So you get, depending on what level you might get, different levels. You get different wage, I guess, from UK Sport, which was awesome, which was very helpful. Helped us be a full-time athlete. But then we lost that in about, I think it was after the 2018 Olympics. 2019 is when we lost it. So from then till when I retired, there was no funding. It was just we were out there. Just I was treating people whilst I was trying to be a full-time athlete.
Yeah. So when you say no funding, have you got to pay for your own flights and all that kind of stuff?
No. So we would get sponsorship to be able to
just cover expenses, but you're not earning anything.
We're out there for 3 months, and I'm treating other athletes while I'm away.
That's mad, that, isn't it? Yeah. You're away for 3 months, and they're expecting you to be there without giving you any money.
It was mad. But I mean, if the governing body didn't have money to pay us, they didn't have money to pay us.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. And for me, I didn't do it for the money. Otherwise, it's not the sport to do. It's not the sport to do to make money. I did it for the love of the sport. I did it because I wanted to make Olympics. And as I said, the last 4 years, I wasn't getting paid. I was as I was doing my therapy whilst I was away, I was getting paid by athletes to treat them. So that was a stress because I would do everything they're doing, and then I'd have a 5-minute break and then have to treat people whilst everyone's just relaxing or doing. I got away with not doing a bit of sled work and stuff like that because I was treating, but it was a lot of stress.
It's hard, it's hard on the system, isn't it? So before we get into your business and what you do now, mate, let's take me through the actual ins and outs of a bobsleigh. So you start on the track. Take us through from the minute you start, whether there's a buzzer or whatever, to the minute you hit the bottom and you look at the clock for your time. How does that work? And tell us what it's like being in the bobsled.
We'll start from waking up in the morning on
brilliant. Okay.
a competition day. Let's go training day.
Uh-huh.
On a training day. Let's say training's at 9 o'clock in the morning, because in a lot of, let's say, Switzerland, we know that it might be very cold in the morning, but by midday it's going to be warmer, so the ice might melt a little bit more. So we want to get as much. I think all of the sessions were early in the morning, from my memory. So wake up in the morning, maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, have your breakfast. When you're going away where the places that we stayed, breakfast wasn't nice.
You're not in 5-star resorts, I'm assuming.
No. Breakfast wasn't nice. So keeping weight on was difficult.
Okay. Because you're not getting enough.
Not eating enough because the food isn't nice.
What are we eating? Are we talking like Kellogg's and whatever you can get your hands on?
I remember things like having a boiled egg, bit of
boiled egg, like one boiled egg. Is that what we're saying? That's
one
like,
or two.
So you're like rationed to.
No. It's just that it was everyone. They cooked breakfast specifically for us because we get there earlier.
I see.
And so there wasn't. The breakfast didn't taste nice. That's all. Is it continental
breakfast?
Yeah.
They're waking up tired, cold, shit breakfast.
Yeah. So it wasn't good. So we go have breakfast. Then you make sure that you're packing the bags the night before, because you can't be late. Because if you're 1 minute late, 2 minutes late, you're in trouble. They're leaving you, whatever it is.
So now it's not 4-man sled; it's a 3-man sled.
Yeah. Because it's a very a lot of people in bobsleigh is military, so it's military timing.
Yeah.
If they say you got to be there by 8 o'clock, you got to be there by 5 too.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you're packing your bags the day before. As soon as you've eaten your breakfast, you go down and do sled work. Okay. Sled work is you might have taken the runners off the night before, so when you go do sled work, you're making sure you're putting the runners on, polishing them, making sure everything's right with the sled, flipping the sled back onto the runners, so it's in its I can't remember the bloody names, but you're flipping the sled onto its runners and then carrying the sled, putting it onto the van.
It's like being on a building site almost at this point, isn't it? Waking up tired and cold, yes. No breakfast, now you've got to go and lift things heavy and put them where they're supposed to be.
Where they're doing no warm-up, lifting 200 kilos sled on and off the van. The athletes do everything. The coaches help here and there, but it's the athlete's job.
And is this sort of Great Britain where our level of bobsled is, or the Germans, I'm assuming, have got their own team and they're not lifting things, right? Or are they? Or maybe they are.
Pretty much
similar.
Yeah, that's just how it is. There might be some teams like the Germans. They might have somebody that does their runners for them. Don't quote me on that, but it's just how it is. It's how it is. If you're looking after your sled, it's your responsibility. So you can't go and blame somebody else because you're the one that's looked after it.
Right. So if you're on the track and it feels a bit jinky, you can't blame Sid who's put the runner on. Yeah.
Nope, that's your business.
You'll fuck up and you live with it.
Exactly. So I kind of understand that. But yeah, so do the runners, put the sled onto the van, drive to wherever the track is, take the sled off, put it into its designated spot, flip it upside down. I need to remember the name of the things, but I can't remember. But it's gonna bug me. Flipping the sleds upside down because you need to put the guides for the runners down so that when you've finished, you can put them back into the guides.
So it's a whole ordeal before you're even competing.
Oh yeah.
So, and you say like 200 kilos, no warm up, but people getting injured. Have you seen that? Have you seen people fuck their back up and like their competition's a bit?
It's a regular.
Is that it? That's just how it is. Like Steve's got a bad knee for his comp. So
being having aches and pains throughout the season is just.
And that's all sports as well, really. You know, I suppose. I guess that's just what you signed up for.
And to be honest, doing bobsleigh, like you have to be robust.
Yep.
Doing bobsleigh made me a lot more mentally tough than when I was doing athletics.
Really, that's interesting.
I genuinely believe bobsleigh was one of the hardest things that I've done because it is tough.
Yeah, I bet.
And you're away for 3 to 4 months. And if it's not going well, that's 3 to 4 months with just depression, isn't it?
Yeah, and away from the family
Away
and
from
whatever.
the
If you're
family.
married and kids, that's a tough go, isn't it? Try and square that with the
Exactly.
missus that you're going away,
Exactly.
not earning anything.
Yeah, exactly. And you're away, and everyone's in the same situation where they're all depressed, or just down. Sorry, not
It's like a
depressed.
miserable camp. Everyone's in the same
Yeah,
boat.
and it's just hard to kind of boost yourself. So, I mean, you get on with it because you have to push each other, and even when times are hard, you find a way out of it.
Yeah. You kind of bounce off each other.
Yeah,
because you got it right. You're all in the same boat.
Yeah, I've got a lot of love for a lot of the guys that I've been on the team with, because you go through a lot together.
Yeah, I bet.
And even to this day, I have a lot of time, a lot of love for the guys that I've been on the team with. But lost my train of thought. But yeah, so let's go.
So take us to the top of the track. We're about to start going. Is there a buzzer or is there someone with a flag? How does it work?
So flip the sled onto the ice. You keep it out of the grooves because you don't want the grooves to melt too much. So you keep it out of the grooves, and then when you hear the buzzer, put the sled into the grooves, and again you just keep me as a brakeman, just keep the sled moving until no, I lied. So you put the sled into the grooves when they say so and so get ready, put it into the grooves, and I'll keep moving the sled back and forth. Then you'll hear the buzzer, the barrier might come up, depending on where you are. Moving it back and forwards. Then you will do your whatever. So we do put our hands in together, 1, 2, 3. That's our thing. That's our thing. And then everyone gets into position. You do the call, making sure you hit it all together. And then when you're pushing it, driver will jump in first. Second man on the side will jump in. Third man, and then the guy from the brakeman in the back will jump in behind. And
you're away.
And then it's the driver's job to get us down safely.
And the rest of you are just sitting and hoping for the best, is it? That you don't crash and twist and whatever?
Yeah, you've got to, unlike cool run-ins, you got to stay as still as possible.
Okay.
Because if you're seen to do this or this, the sled's doing this, and probably on your head. So you just got to stay as still as possible. I've been, as number 2 or number 3, I've been cussed by the head coach a couple of times for my head doing this. But as a number 4, it's the most uncomfortable ride, because you're getting all the G-forces. But if you crash, it's lovely.
You're fine. You're all set. And what's it like going down? How fast are we going?
So in Whistler, the fastest sled I've been in Whistler was 150.
All right, so
3 kilometers an hour.
Right, okay, which is what, 110-ish?
90. I want to say 92-ish
miles an hour. Right, it's fast. It's moving, isn't it?
It's moving.
Yeah, I bet you feel it. And how does it stop? Does it just slow down into sort of a pit? Or what?
No. So as number 4, as a brakeman, you just pull the brakes like this, and it digs the brakes into the ice. But you can only do that on the braking straight. If you pull that at any point around the thing, you get disqualified and you get fined.
Right. Okay.
Disqualified and you get fined anyway.
Yeah, you get fined. Yeah, and when you're not earning any money, that comes out your own pocket. So that sucks, doesn't it? But that's cool, man. So you've gone through all this bobsleigh, rugby, football, martial arts sort of journey, and you're still only 33. So you're sort of in this mode now of maybe you won't try for the next Olympics in 26, which by what point you'll be sort of turning 36?
I will be 35. I'll be 35 because it's in February.
Oh, okay, it's a different time of year.
March.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
So I'll still be 35. But yeah, that's. As I said, I got unfinished business, and I want to give it one more try.
That's great, man.
But again, I'm keeping myself fit. I'm still lifting heavy, still running, keeping myself fit, but only time will tell. If like I'm not gonna go and try for it half-heartedly. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna give it 110%.
Yep.
So I need to make sure that everything's in the right place, everything's in its place to be able to give it 110%.
Yep.
I believe I'm lifting heavier now than I was when I was doing bobsleigh. So I've still got a lot of strength, and I'm still got my speed.
What are you weighing in at now?
I am 89 kilos.
Okay.
So last time I did bobsleigh, when I retired, I was 95. I wanted to lose weight. I lost weight. I went down to 82 because I was like, I'm done. I'm done with bobsleigh now. So I lost the weight, but now I'm just like, you know what? I need to keep myself at around 90 kilos, so that if I do put things in the right place and I'm able to give it 110% to go back, then I don't have to put on 10 kilos. I put on 3 or 4 kilos.
And you're ready to rock and roll.
I'm ready to go. Yeah. So, yeah.
Nice. And what about sports-wise after bobsleigh, mate? Any ambitions of getting into sort of martial arts? I always ask people this because jiu-jitsu is a good one to get into.
Yeah.
Any ambitions to get into anything, or when you're done, you're done?
You know what? When you stopped doing martial arts from, like, I stopped when I was, as I said, I was 18. I don't want no one punching me in my face, you know.
That's pretty for all that.
If I continued it, I would still love it, but I would go back to doing semi-contact, but I don't want to be doing full contact anything because.
How about jiu-jitsu, bro? Speed in your athleticism in jiu-jitsu, you'd be a problem. You learn a few little arm bars and a few framing systems and whatnot.
Yeah, but then you get put in different positions.
You might get choked out by a soccer mum. Yeah, it is what it is.
I'm not about that life. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Listen, when you got a sweaty bloke sitting around your face area, sometimes in jiu-jitsu you do question your life choices. But it's all worth it in the end. So maybe we get you down Brixton for a ride.
You know what it is as well, though, because as a manual therapist, like my body is how I make money.
Of course, yeah.
If I do things that jeopardize that, then I can't make my money.
Yeah, I hear that.
I'm then, if I get injured, then, like, if my hands get injured, I am done. That's it. Yeah, I'm not making my money.
There's a lady I trained with actually for years, and I think she's got to the point where she's going to stop or she's already stopped because body can't handle it. And that's different. Like, obviously she's a lady who's the size of a lady, right? You're a big guy, so it's even for her, it's even more. She's got to think about it, but hopefully she gets back to it, and we'll see how it goes. But let's lead into your business, mate. Tell us what you do. How'd you start with that, and what's going on with you now with it?
So, what do I do? I've got a few qualifications.
Okay.
I listened to them the other day, and it's quite long, so I'm just gonna give you a couple. Sports massage. By the time this airs, I'll be level 5. My exams next week.
Brilliant.
I have acupuncture, spinal manipulation, osteopathic articulations, things like that. I've got running biomechanics, gait analysis. That's all I can think of right now.
You got healing hands, basically.
Yeah, I do quite a bit. But I guess it started from back in 2013. I worked for a company called The Running School, who...
Wasps, is it? Wasps Rugby Ground?
Yeah.
I've been there, yeah, I know the place. I met the guy, Mike Antoniadis, yeah. Friend of mine, David Thunder, shout out David Thunder, who's got magic hands as well. He fixes a lot of my problems. David Thunder.
Okay,
he was there for a while. He introduced me to them, so I've been there a little bit. Yeah, sorry, mate. Go on, carry on.
When did you go to?
Before the pandemic, sort of. I reckon around 2019-ish sort of time.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I didn't go to the running school for the running school. I went there to meet Mike. Antoniadis. Yeah, I went there to meet him, and I had a physical therapy session with my guy David. So it was a good place, good people, and there was always like a kid in there who was, when you're looking at a kid on the running machine, I say it all the time. I've been there about 3 times, but there was a kid a couple of times sticks in my mind. That was sort of, like that age where they're like a young calf, where you can see they're sort of just in that puberty age where they're about to explode. But they're not quite. They're still a little bit Bambi on ice, and they was getting tidied up on the running machine. And you're looking at them and you're thinking, 5 years, boy, this could be a problem. This could be someone. But so you're at the running school and whatnot.
Yeah, so yeah, and Mike taught me a lot. I actually went there as a graphic designer.
Okay.
You know, so you've seen their logo.
Yeah.
You know, they've got the running person.
That's you, is it?
No.
Oh, okay.
You know, they've got the other one, the movement school.
Vaguely. I remember the running one more so.
Yeah, so the running school's red. So it's the running and movement school.
Okay.
The running school's red, the movement school's blue.
Oh, okay.
I'm the blue. I'm the one that's doing that in blue. So I did a lot of stuff for them back in 2013 for a couple of years. Whilst I was doing it, Mike taught me a lot. So I'm very appreciative of what I learned there. Because originally I went there for rehab. When I was getting injured, that's where I went. So they taught me a lot of their philosophy. I took that, started to do sports massage, incorporated a lot of things. Because I kept on getting injured, I wanted to find a way of being better for myself, to help me be better so that I stop getting injured. I enjoyed it. I helped one of my friends. He tore his hamstring, and he was just like, "Can you help me?" I told him what to do, and he's like, "Can you just help me?" I was like, "I mean, I'm not fully qualified, but I can see what I can do."
Yeah.
And then when I was doing it, it's like, "You're really good, you know. You should do this as a thing because you're really good." I was like, "I'll think about it," and it just became like I helped him a little bit more, and it just became a thing. And although I initially did it so that I could learn more about it for myself, I actually enjoyed it. I enjoy helping people. So I did my sports massage. I did a load of qualifications. I always say this to people. I wasn't great in school, doing my GCSEs and A levels, but once I came out of school and I started learning the way is best for me, I love learning.
Yeah.
So I've done a ridiculous amount of courses. As much as this level 5 started to stress me, I'm now looking at doing another course. I'm paying for another course next week. In biomechanics.
Because so constant learning, constant growth.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like doing your own thing.
Yeah, because I don't like it when a client comes to me and I don't know what the problem is. It happens every now and then, and I'm just like, that annoys me that I can't help you. So now I need to find out what that was for one, and I need to find out what I need to do to make myself good enough to learn that stuff.
Yeah. Because
it's I guess it's the athlete mentality. I just want to keep being better.
Yeah.
I'm as much as good as people think I am, I don't think I'm good enough. I think I can be better. I've got a couple of osteopaths that have looked after me that I look up to, and I see the things that they're doing. I'm just like, I want to be there.
Yep.
And you're doing this, and this. I want to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I see how good they are at manipulations. I've been playing with the idea of going to do osteopathy just so that I can be better at manipulations.
Yeah.
And it's not and to have the title of osteopath, sorry. Because I like to be I want to be the best. Whatever it is I want to do, I want to be the best.
Yeah, it's a good place to be in it.
As I said to you from the beginning, whatever I do, I want to put 110% into doing it. So if I'm going to help people, I want to make sure that you come to me and I can help you. If I can't help you, then let's find a way. I'll put you in contact with this person or this person, and we're going to make sure that we get to the bottom of what your problem is. Nice. I don't know it, but we're going to find it together.
Nice, man.
So that's just how I work. Sorry, I'm getting cold.
We're outside in the great British summertime here.
That's why I keep shivering.
So before we wrap it up, mate, tell us about your business. Plug your business. Tell us the name, where they can find you. We'll put it in the description as well.
So Elite Movement Clinic is the Instagram handle. If you're looking for running technique coaching, sports therapy, anything like that, we're happy to help. We've also got a new machine, the Tekka therapy machine, which, you know what, it's an awesome machine. That's what I'm going to say.
Wow.
When you're massaging, it puts heat into it. It's a high frequency machine.
Okay.
Puts heat into the body. So we've got that new technology. We've been using it with a lot with Chev, with a couple of a lot of Premier League footballers use it as well. So we use that for rehab. We use that for treatment and stuff like that. So if you guys are interested, look at wherever it's going to be, check it out.
And what's the Instagram, mate? We will put it in the description, but just tell people the Instagram.
Elite Movement Clinic, at Elite Movement Clinic.
Bosh. All right, mate. So before we finish up, I always ask a few questions to people.
Okay.
One of them, you've already given me the right answer off camera, but we get it on camera so I can look overly excited about it. Simple question. So you've got a bit of a martial arts background too, and I'm sure you're into it. We didn't really talk about too many fights today, but we'll dive into it a little bit with the question. So first question I always ask everyone, greatest fighter of all time, in your opinion?
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, very good. Best fight you've ever seen?
Ooh.
And this can be between Steve and Rodri outside the local boozer, if that's your thing, because I've had one of those answers already.
Best fight I've ever seen. I haven't seen a lot of fights in there. I must say, I don't know. I can't give you that answer.
Fair enough. I'll take that. It's a man of thought. I got it. This is the one I know the answer to, but football team you support?
Oh, Chelsea.
Bash!
Yeah.
He's a friend of the show forever. And last question is, sorry, I've asked you 3 questions. There's no last question. We'll leave it there.
No, sure?
But, yep, that's it.
Okay,
so
cool.
Reach out to my main man, Tremayne. If you've got any injuries, you want to know about bobsleigh or anything else, reach out to him. Been a really interesting conversation today, mate. I really appreciate you doing this. Episode 6, Bosh.